But you know, it's down to the spirit really, because even you know, it's like I remember some of the things people were prepared to do in our adolescence. You know, even the way they've been cultured, it's like you look at it and you think, bro, there's a lot that's gonna come back. There's gonna be a hella blowback from that, man. You ain't just gonna just
Yeah.
get away with that and live it down. No, you know, people are gonna come. You're gonna have to live your life on the edge. I got something to back up what you just read. This is Isaiah 1 and 25. And I will turn my hand upon thee and purely purge away thy tin, thy dross, and take away all thy tin. And I will restore thy judges as at the first, and thy counselors, and that's literal, because what were the judges at the first? They were the chosen, you know, the heads over the house of Israel, the you know, first fruits of Yahweh Bar Shem Yahushua Bar Shem Avakar Kodosh. And thy counselors as at the beginning. Afterward thou shalt be called the city of righteousness, the faithful city. Revelations, it tells you about New Jerusalem coming down from heaven. Zion shall be redeemed with judgment, and her converts will with righteousness. You got something?
Mm, uh, okay. No, I've got something, but I'm looking for something else. Okay. So, okay. So, Judah 5, and let me start from verse 19. It says, "But now they return to their power, and have come up from the places where they were scattered, and have possessed Jerusalem, where their sanctuary is, and are seated in a hill country, for it is for it was desolate. Now therefore, my Lord and Governor, if there be any error against this people, and they sin against their power, let us consider that this shall be their ruin, and let us go up, and we shall overcome them." And that's what's gone down, and that's what's maintained. This is another reason why you have this, because the thing is even with Esau's culture, he's like Jake trying to mold themselves after him. He's also given them this black culture, which is that's a thorn in the side, because that's what Jake attached onto, that identity of black, which is no identity, man.
Which is basically just like Hellenization, Romanization, Americanization, but it's just black culture. But really, it's an Americanization
Yeah,
of Jake, man, which has gone all over the earth.
yeah, which is why it's there's no salvation, man. There's nothing to be gained, because Jake holding on to it, and okay, so you got your little Black History Month or whatever, and it's like, okay, so but then what? It's all the whole like angle Jake's going with it is just to try and be a super victim, which is moist, man. You basically just going, with your going like what the fuck is his name, Oliver Twist, with your little bowl, like, please sir, can I have some more? That's what Jake are doing to Esau, but that's you're caught in a trap, because it's basically what when the relationship between Israel and the Heavenly Father is discorded, when we're not holding up our end of the bargain, that's where we get screwed over. And then as well, Yahweh Shai came down, went up on the cross, and then basically gave us, brought us back, and we now go through Yahweh Shai. That's our means to basically receive the promise. So that's that comes with uh, certain conduct, certain things you need to do, man.
Got a quick
You
precept,
got to hold up your end of the bargain.
quick one.
Okay.
Isaiah 3 and 12. As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err, and destroy the way of thy paths.
Yeah, the gates languishing, the leadership being destroyed. That's a big factor in why Jake is still fucked. Because when you look at the people that have been put up as the leaders, is what those Hellenized, those Hellenizers, basically people that are pushing forward the line of keeping that Jake in that destroyed state.
And the children being oppressors of Esau, right? Job goes into that as well. He says the same thing. They that are younger than I have me in derision. Why? Because Esau escapes me right now. It's lucky actually.
It was made after.
Yeah. In terms of the holy line, and then Esau came last, kind of thing. Even though
He was the older.
Yeah.
Whereas Jacob and Esau.
and women, that's the matriarch as well. Dealing
Yeah,
with
that
Jake,
was a
black
big
culture,
part
man.
of because it's the Willie Lynch letter. That thing is a clean incision, a clean cut against this whole black culture thing, because that was set up, and it's to create the feminine black man, which is still maintained to today. You go into a lot of what do you call it, media, they'll have that representation of the feminine black man everywhere you look. And that's just presented as normal. You don't have how many strong, like imagine Terry Crews, that big black simple-minded Negro. He should be a terror, but then he moves like a cream. He moves like a cream puff, man. Like white girls, that just completely eviscerated any kind of masculinity from that guy. But then that's why he's a complete Babylonian, man. He's in that what's the word, slave mentality, man. That corn fed. He's that house Negro, man. And that's the thing is but then he's still exalted like he's some kind of leader within Jake. Because why? Because it's that fame. It's basically whatever Esau presents as a leader. That's what is a leader. And Jake will follow, but then it's like, what are you doing? You're basically just feeding into the same destructive cycle. And it's funny because it's like Boondocks, they pointed out a lot of that, because like soul food, where it was saying like, yo, with this food, it's saying, oh, this is your culture. It's like, oh, but then what is it? It's basically just the leftovers of what slaves were eating, all kinds of unhealthy things that basically what they'll make and do. But then that's the thing. Esau is more subtle than any creature in the garden. These things, he's made them into perpetual systems, utilizing the woman as well. That's why even the serpent, that match made in heaven, man. I think I had a bit more on this. So, So, okay, Judah 5:20. Now therefore, my Lord and Governor, if there be any error against this people, and they sin against their power, let us consider that this shall be their ruin, and let us go up and we shall overcome them. But if there be no iniquity in their nation, let my Lord now pass by, lest their Lord defend them, and their power be for them, and we become a reproach before all the world. Yeah, that's these things are known from back then. Why Jake is in that position, and when you can come up against them, when you can't. Because when Jake are in their power, it's like it says, the blessings will overtake them. So whereas one man will put 10 to fight, and 10 will put 1,000, I believe. That it's not doable. That's why all these nations do. They got together. They're confederate, man. Against what? Against Israel. They're all coming together to ensure Jake stays in that destroyed state. Because why? It's consider within Esau society, Jacob been down and out, destroyed, but they're still coming up through all Esau's various different layers of Esau's system. That's why you just have to be like, yo, we're just gonna have to off these guys.
Quick preset.
Okay.
Psalms 83, I'll read through it quickly. Psalms 83:1, a song or psalm of Asaph. Keep not thou silence, O power, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O power, for lo, thine enemies have make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up their head. they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. And they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may not be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent that they are confederate against thee, the tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites of Moab and the Hagarenes, Gebal and Ammon and Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Assur also is joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot. Selah. That's the point.
Yeah, all these nations came together, and they're still confederate because they're all working together. That's why it's
I've got another one.
Okay, go on.
Yeah, it's Revelations 11 and 8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of that great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. Alright? And this is basically talking about where? The land of Babylon. Babylon the Great being America, but then all over the earth. Alright? Because it tells you in Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Alright? Their dead bodies, as it tells you in the book of Proverbs 21 and 16, man that walketh out the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. So basically that was that crafty council being established where they took away, they beat our nationality out of us, man. Whether it was when we went into slavery or even on the west coast of Africa where they were indoctrinated to think a certain type of way, all right? Because them Jakes, you know, you have like the divide between, you have like Afs go over to America or they come over to England and they meet the West Indians. And then basically there's a whole tension of you sold us into slavery, and even Jakes in Africa, yeah man, you was too slow to, I remember I used to say jokes like that, man, you niggas were too slow, man, you got caught by the, you know, and then they say different things that happen basically. But the reality is that there was no one, Jake on the West Coast don't really know the gravity of things that happen. There'll be certain things that are passed down in history, but for the most part, then it's oblivious. They're not really in it. Like, was you in the know? Were we told anything? Well, it's just kind of like, well, it happened kind of thing. But the indoctrination was that you don't ponder on those things, and that was by design. Because we didn't have, it was better that we didn't know who we were. And they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves. And they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them and make merry, and shall send gifts one to another, because these two prophets tormented them that dwelled on the earth. And after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from the Most High entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. So yeah, when the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem El Shai Ba'ashem El Rakar Kudash come to us, and we basically got this wisdom and understanding, that's when the masses, they were like, oh shit, you know, we've been keeping it a good thing going, but now it's like, oh, how the hell they find this out? All right, and now they're just, you know, they're pissed. I got something else unless you got something.
It feels as quick.
Yeah. Okay. This is Psalms 2 and 1. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? It's an empty thing to think that you can do away with the children of Israel. What I forget. Ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. Oh, Malachi.
I'm the Lord, I changed.
Yeah, I changed not. Therefore, ye sons of the Lord are not consumed. There is no putting away the children of Israel. They imagine the vain thing. Why did the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord Yahweh and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. That's that example you went into in the Apocrypha. They understood where it was, and in this time that we're living in, they understood it to a greater level, and they executed it on a greater level.
Yeah.
To the point where Jake don't know they're Jake. Alright? He that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh, the Lord shall have them in derision. Then shall he speak unto them in his wrath, and vex them in his sore displeasure.
Yeah. Because it's funny. Oh, the Lord can make it from where you didn't even know you're Israelite to you're out on a street preaching the word.
On the street you used to shop on, get up to like Oxford Street, man. That was my you know, I used to frequent Carnaby, you know, all the Soho area, Oxford Street, every other weekend. So even I used to work a shop a couple blocks down, man. See, former man. So it's kind of funny. Where you're like, damn, all my life I used to come up here shopping and, you know, looking for girls and doing this, that, and the other. And then it's like, you turn into a total different person to where people just be like, I don't know what happened to you, kind of
what
thing.
went down.
Yeah, but that's the spirit of the Lord.
Yeah. Because like with the word, that's the spirit, man. That's the power of the spirit. Because well, let me read this. Okay, Revelation 18 and 15. The merchants of these things which were made rich by her shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing, and saying, Alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. For in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught, and every shipmaster and all companying ships and sailors, and as many as trade by sea, stood afar off, and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, What city is like unto this great sea? Yeah, all these nations, they've been indulging, they've been party to the Esau system, man. All the Esau's gained, all the riches he amassed through rape, robbery, murder, and theft over the Americas, over on the West Coast, over the whole globe. All these nations have basically been harmed by it, but it gives them access to that certain kind of lifestyle, man. That's why these guys, you know, that's why these guys are hand in hand. That's why they work together. That's why they're all what's the word? They're in accord. But then what? It's that means you're like I might have read it earlier. Though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not be altogether unpunished. All these guys are gonna join hand to hand in hand. They're gonna be crying for Babylon going down. Then they're gonna go into captivity and they're gonna see the real Esau, the real man. Because that's the thing is, Esau's PR is immaculate. Because you see these guys on TV, in movies, whatever. You see some of them in London. You see a lot of these guys just out and about. You see them out and about. Some of the women as well. You see them out and about, and you're like, yo, they're not even the same. It doesn't even look like the same creature. Like the guy's shorter than me. He's got no presence. Then you remember a lot of these guys. They're just putting on a show. They're presenting a you know, it's pretend. It's not reality. They don't really have it like that. But that's the thing. That's why Jake is the one. They're the ones that are set to where even when a Jake can be like, a Jake is broke as hell. He ain't got nothing. He's barely, all he's got is a shirt on his back, and then the way he can move and operate is like, you be thinking like, damn, this guy looks like he's blessed. What's going on?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, and as well, it's like with Jake, that's why they really, like, bruv, every, especially with these white girls, it's like all the artists they listen to, it's just nothing but Jake. I'm like, Jake is really the key form of entertainment out here, man. So you got white girls in the sticks listening to grime. It's like, huh? Listening to drill and shit.
Even in Scandinavia, man, they know about grime. I'm like, well, you know that instrumental? Like, yeah, I know that. I used to listen to radio sets. I'm like, what the fuck? These are like super underground, concentrated to one generation of Jake
in particular areas.
That's it.
And that's why it's like, that's mad. But then that's Jake. Because the same, it's like with hip hop, how hip hop blew up. Hip hop has been on top in the States for the longest, man. And it's just, even like rock and roll, I was listening to some of the Jimi Hendrix. I was like, God damn. It's like Jake was getting it in. Jake really, and it's like, bro, if Jake weren't there, like shit would have been lame.
Salt of the earth.
Lame.
Who can eat an egg without salt, man?
That's why it's like, bro, I can see why Jake got kept around. Because otherwise, it's I'm like, bro, all kinds of TV shows, movies, music, events, entertainment, sports performances, boxing, martial arts. I'm like, bro, imagine MMA is just some Brazilians, man. God damn, some Asherites just getting up to some madness.
Rolling
That shit
around.
took over. It's bruv, Jake is without Jake, it's a wrap, man. But that's why it's like it's they have to stay in that destroyed state, man, or otherwise there's no victory, man. That's why they're in such terror when they see the videos. It's just like, oh no, just kill it. Man's got the button, finger on the button, just kill their channels.
I got a quick couple precepts. Knock them out.
Okay, let me
If you, they're really quick. There's just 1, 2. It's a two hit
So I got one more
combination.
verse on this.
Matthews 5 and 13. Ye are the salt of the earth, but if the salt has lost its savour, wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out and to be trodden under the foot of men.
Yeah, that's
Main point with the salt of the earth.
yeah.
Job
Salt of
6 and
earth.
6. Can that which is unsavory be eaten without salt? Or is there any taste in the white of an egg? So
Yeah.
you need the salt in the earth. Otherwise, it's just like eating
It's,
an egg with no salt. Man, that's not even.
Yeah, it's
The salt on an egg,
Can't add
on
a-
a boiled egg, or just like, man,
rice,
I'm
salt-
even now
salt-
want a
salt and
good
rice.
fry up, man.
So it's
With
one of
some-
those key things. It's like, man, I was having salad yesterday. It's like what? Olive oil. Even if it's like solid salad, you can put olive oil. You can put what do you call it? Like lemon. Just squeeze lemon on it. It's like salt and pepper. That shit will make it a different,
Mainly
different
the salt.
experience. The salt is the main
You
one.
can
that
do
just
without
kinda-
the pepper, but you need
Yeah.
the salt.
Salt is the one that's just like, because I had it before where it was just like olive oil and lemon. I was just like, it's something missing. Bang the salt. It's like there's a lot of things. You bang the salt, completes the meal. That's Jake on the planet Earth. Like Jake, he was sent here for this express purpose, man. He had a job to do, man, to bring that liveliness, man. Because otherwise, you see the heathen. It's just not. It's not the same, man. Especially Esau, man. Man, when you see that clip of what's her name, man, Theresa May trying to dance with them Hamites, oh man, abysmal. So Revelation 18 and 19, it says, and they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, alas, alas, that great city wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea by reason of her costliness. For in 1 hour is she made desolate. Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for the Most High have avenged you on her. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone, and cast it into the sea, saying, thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, shall be found no more. Oh, yeah. Thus with violence. That's how Esau's shit's gonna end. This is what he that killed with a sword must be killed with a sword, man.
Revelation 13.
Esau has gone out and used violence, murder, theft, robbery, all the darkest, all the wickedness on the earth, is to get what he wants, and he's justified it. That's why it's what they call taking over America, manifest destiny. They said it like, oh, you know, it was appointed by the Most High, which it was. But then, okay, then when it comes to the time for America to end, you can't complain. It's time for Esau to get in them pits. Can't complain.
But even Ezekiel went into it and said that, look, you went past the measure, man.
Can't.
And even the book of Psalms, it goes into as well that you shouldn't have been there with, the Babylonians to basically.
Should us not have, yeah.
Yeah. So let me read this. Wisdom of Solomon 5 and 1. Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him and made no account of his labors. When they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, so far beyond what they look for. And let's not forget, that's only talking about the chariots of Yahweh, Shem El Shai, Shem El Wakar, UFOs and all that kind of stuff. Alright, not all that kind of UFOs, alright, as they're known today, or UAPs, but even it says, and I mentioned it before in the book of Luke, about a fire starting, the fire of,
Fire not blown.
no, that's Malachi, or that's something else, but shall there be fire upon the earth
and I have not.
before you know.
And what will life is already.
Yeah. That's it. So basically, you're gonna have Jake getting busy before this goes down, man. So and when they're getting busy, what does that mean? Does that mean they're just gonna be, you know, running like a linebacker, or like a right back or something like, you know, or like doing MMA moves? No, it's talking about having a portion of the spirit, doing some crazy shit that you see superheroes do, man. And they're gonna be doing some shit before the Lord makes his appearance. So let me read on. When they see it, verse 2. When they see it, they shall be troubled for the terrible fear, and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, so far beyond all that they look for. And they repenting and groaning for anguish of spirit shall say within themselves, this is he whom we had sometimes in derision, and a proverb of reproach. Yeah, being called all kind of proverbs like niggers, wetbacks, tomahawks, wogs, whatever name that pertains to the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. That's how the world treats us in this day and age, all right? And they have the right to do so because it's guess what? It was the divine right of the Heavenly Father, according to the book of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, where it speaks about thou shalt be a proverb and a byword to wherever we're sent to. So this is just proverb. That's why someone calls you a nigger, man, or some shit. It's not even that deep, man. You know, but that don't mean that you could just walk around. That ain't a license for you to just come up to it.
Even for
depending on the mood on the day, the spirit
yeah.
might get smite at school and the rest shall be.
Yeah,
You might get hold of a hook or a kick to your chin, man.
Yeah.
Depending on how the spirit, they ain't saying that's gonna happen, but the spirit is like the winning, blood wherever it listeth. You might be saying this right now and then.
Well, remember
it's on the wrong day, man.
Well, the guy bumped into the woman. Was like, what? Don't touch a beautiful black queen.
Oh yeah.
It's like we might not do anything.
Yeah.
Then look, they have a Jake around and just put the spirit on him to do something.
Remember the time that guy spat on me? It was like the pathway just opened.
Rolling
the
into
pathway
the
just
street.
opened. It was just like run forward, turn left, jump. And it was just like, and even those police there, that's how you know the guy was so shook up at what happened. He didn't even say nothing. He could have just lied and said like, yo, you know, I didn't do nothing. He did, because the police were trying to get him like, yo, he did, like they wanted to kind of, you know, but nothing happened. And that's a spirit. That's why I'm saying the spirit's like, I didn't say, yo, I want to fly and kick this dude. It just happened. So more of that's gonna happen, man. Jeremiah 16:16 tells you that the Lord will send for many fishers, and they shall fish them, and then he's gonna send for what? Many hunters, and they shall hunt them.
Yeah. And that's Esau. He's setting he's making up his little escape pods to get to the heavens. You know, all these little hidey holes he's got to escape to. So he's basically trying to not have to take responsibility for anything that goes down. But hey, that's what's gonna go on. Esau's gonna have to taste the judgment, man. The reality is gonna be delivered.
Yep.
And when it comes, it's good luck, man. Good luck. Because that's what I was even gonna say. It's like, okay, you might call us niggas, whatever, but you're gonna have to account for that when the time of judgment comes.
Yeah, something might not happen right now.
Yeah,
that's even worse, man.
Because that's the thing it's like with I'm like them men that were around in slavery. If they ain't got the judgment yet, I'm like, bro, you got to be living in terror, man. Because when you get in the kingdom, I'm like, bro, it's oh man, that's abysmal.
Best example is the Lord, man. Those two, when the Lord comes, he said, those
those that pierce me.
Piercing. Yeah. He's coming. He guess what? He was risen from the dead 3 days after. On the fourth day, he rose up. Then he was with the apostles. All right. Fucking hell, that scared the shit out of me. My hand is still hurting as well, man. Fuck. Anyway, He rose up, Satan, man. He rose up with the apostles, and he was with them for 3 days. Rose on the fourth, and guess what? He didn't go and check for them men. For all you know, they could have had a nice life, and just turned into the grave, in their due season. But guess what? Now 2,000 years later, it's appointed for them to get their judgment. And that's why we really, we hold well of the elect, man. Because that's it, man.
Yeah,
The
you
Lord,
get your recompense.
it's a terrible thing to fall into the hands of the living power, man. Terrible.
You got anything?
No. Close out on that. So we'll say all praises to Yahweh, Bar Shem, Yahweh Shai, Bar Shem, Al-Rakar Kadash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders, great millstone, rule well, and shalom to your Akyam and Akwaf. Lord willing, we see you next week, man.
Shalom.
Shalom.